it's Selene here with Swinky Mountain, and I am here. It is April of 2024, and I cannot believe that it has taken me this long to make this video. I have had the concept for this video and a rough outline in my brain for like 6 months now. So I'm really excited to bring to you a video about Workhorse yarns. You're probably thinking, Selene, what is a Workhorse yarn? Why even call it that? To me, a Workhorse yarn fits into some specific check boxes of things that I feel like make it a great yarn for a multitude of projects. So let's start. Let's define what I call a workhorse yarn. A workhorse yarn is typically solid in color. It is a versatile yarn, meaning that it works well for everything from garments to household items, and also for a multitude of ranges, from baby through adult. It's a hardy yarn, meaning that it feels like it has some oomph behind it. It's easy care because, again, multitude of ages and usage. It is typically plied because that gives it a little bit more strength behind it. And in the yarny universe, it's soft because why would we not want soft yarn? I'm going to cover 2 yarns that I carry here in store that I have been using for over a year now that I really, really enjoy. They are brands that came to me when I started the store and have grown to be favorites of the community. And I think that that's because they are like a workhorse. They're that favorite go-to yarn that you know you can count on for lots of different projects. So first up, I want to talk about Country Classic from Sidar. This is a worsted yarn, and Sidar is part of the Rowan family. Rowan has been around for a crazy long time. It is a yarn brand favorite of yarn celebrities like Arnie and Carlos, and Rowan is a beautiful yarn, very luxury driven. And Sidar is what I like to think of as their store brand. Great quality, great price point, and super sturdy yarn. Country Classic, which I have here in a couple different colors, tends to be a little bit more muted in tone. It's a 50-50 wool acrylic blend. It does not have a ton of give. If I pull out, it's like, where's the end? It's got to be close here. So if I take the end of this yarn, usually when I'm looking for a yarn that has quite a bit of give, it has a significant amount of stretch when I pull on it, but this one does not. It gets pretty taut fairly quickly, and you can see how it just bounces back, right? I know my background isn't perfect here, but you can see if I hold it right here in front of my face, it just bounces back, which means that it's gonna do an excellent job of holding its shape for an extended period of time. It also, based on my personal experience, washes and dries very nicely on the delicate setting on your machines. So this is my first workhorse yarn, and in the range of budgets, this is the least expensive option that has wool in it that we carry here in store. The next option that I want to talk about is Queenland's Folkland Worsted. This yarn is very squishy. When you pick up the skeins, it's very squishy, and they have a huge range of colors. I just grabbed muted colors, I don't know why, but they've got like bright pinks and bright greens. They have an incredible Christmas red. So super squishy. It is 100% wool, and you'll see that reflected in the price. It is a worsted weight yarn, but well, this one that I'm holding is worsted, but they offer it also in a chunky, and their worsted is on the light side, so it also works very easily for projects that call for like a heavier DK. I'm like checking my notes. It has great drape, but it's still sturdy. It holds its shape well, and it has some spring. You can even see as I'm pulling on this skein how much more spring it has. I could even go further, right? If I was holding a single strand, I'm not stuck here like I was with the Country Classic. And that's the difference between working with wool versus a wool acrylic blend. So it's got some spring in it. It's great drape. One of the cool things about the Queensland yarn is that it is muslin free, which I did not know what muslin was until I started carrying this yarn. But muslin is a procedure that is done to sheep to keep them from defecating. My husband's correcting me in the background, thank goodness, on their coat in their hindquarters. It is an insanely cruel process and completely like not good for the animals. So I think that it's important for us when we can and have the ability to invest in yarn that's taking care of the animals that are giving us the fibers, that we do so. That is, outside of it being really squishy and lovely to work with, that is just one more wonderful box that we get to check when we choose to purchase Falkland yarn from Queensland. So that covers the two yarns that I carry in store currently that I say that I would refer to as my strong workhorse contenders. With yarns like this, there are some cons, and I feel like I would be a negligent store owner, and I mean, my mission is to connect people with great supplies and resources for things that they love to do that are fiber related. But if I'm not telling you both the good and the bad sides, then I'm not setting you up for success and doing a good job of making a great connection for you. With that being said, really with any workhorse yarn, but with these three in particular, I would say the biggest cons are they're going to pill, right? Anytime you use wool and it has that friction, it's going to pill. And with that, we just have to treat things accordingly and take care of them. Use items like a gleaner or a sweater comb to take care of that pilling so it doesn't get worse. It's not very difficult to do, but it is something that you do have to take into consideration. Of course, a yarn with an acrylic component is going to pill potentially less than 100% wool. It just kind of depends on how you want to handle that. The next thing that you're going to see when you're working, especially to do a wool-based project like a blanket, is there's going to be a significant price difference. Let's be real. We're not purchasing yarn that is 100% petroleum and plastic based at a significant discount. We're purchasing items that were harvested off of animals and then cleaned and processed and all of those pieces to get to us. And therefore they're going to come with a higher price point because they have more touch points, human touch points that are required in order for them to be produced. Last but not least, in my experience, a great workhorse yarn is typically only coming in solid colors. It's a great opportunity for us to incorporate hand dyers or that specialty skein of yarn that we purchase while we're traveling. But when we're making items that are usually generational or color works, Christmas stockings, home items, etc., really honestly, we're looking for solid colored yarns to begin with. So let's make sure that we're picking ones that are awesome. All right, last but not least, so you've gotten a chance to look at these workhorse yarns, you've taken a peek at your budget, and you're ready to take on a project using one or both of these featured yarns today. What do you make? I know, that's the maker's $1 million question. Well, the option is always there to continue to curate your stash, and I am fully supportive of that. But beyond that, workhorse yarns for me are incredible for a multitude of uses, and I've just listed a few over here, but I think what makes these yarns particularly special is that they look equally wonderful whether you're making a sweater or a blanket. And because of that, your options are a little bit endless, which I know is not always very helpful, but I hope that knowing more about these yarns and what they can do for you will encourage and inspire you to try a project that previously you might have felt like was outside of your realm. For example, I didn't consider myself much of a blanket knitter, but since using these yarns, I have made several blankets, especially out of the Country Classic. I've made like 3 blankets last year out of the Country Classic because it just is so wonderful, and I've had such a great time knitting and crocheting with it. But maybe a pillow might be your next adventure, or maybe that first sweater is something that you have your eyes on. Let's get you making it out of something that you can really love and have for a long period of time. I hope that this video was helpful to you in your journey towards experiencing and navigating different yarns, brands, and how they work. And until next time, I hope that your day is filled with light and love and yarn.